Eastlick, Hancock, Nash, and Weiner. All right, pursuant to the state laws and the public comment, I see that nobody has signed up, so we can go ahead and skip that. We'll begin with resolutions on public hearing. I have RS 2024-239 by Parker. This exempts Skinny Dennis, located at 2635 Gallatin Avenue, from the minimum distance requirement for obtaining a beer permits pursuant to section 708-090E of the Metropolitan Code. Do I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
And a second? All right. Councilman Parker, would you like to explain to us why Skinny Dennis should be exempt?
Invite Skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So this is for a new venue that's opening up at Gallatin and Cahal across from the Speedway, if you know that area. We've had a couple community meetings about it. When this initially came up, folks had a lot of concerns about parking and stuff, not really related to a beer permit, but I'd say the business owners at this point have been very responsive to that. They've engaged with a lot of people. A lot of the people who were very skeptical have now reached out in support of it. That's good. I don't know if we're going to have unanimous support at the public comment this evening, but I'm looking forward to hearing where everybody's at that does come out. And if the deferral is necessary to have another community meeting, then we can do that. But I think folks are mostly comfortable with the issues that were initially raised at this point.
All right. Any questions? Yes, Councilmember.
Is it Skinny Beer or a Skinny Building?
So it's an old Champion engine shop that I think was most recently a equipment rental place, if I remember right. Skinny Dennis is an outlaw country singer from like the Texas scene in the 70s. He ran around with like Townes Van Zandt and Guy Clark and all those folks down in Texas. It's fun. I knew that history, but when I first heard Skinny Dennis, I was like, that sounds weird, and I don't know what that is. And then someone explained to me that it is named after the outlaw country guy Skinny Dennis from the Texas scene in the 70s. So that's where the unusual name comes from.
Thank you.
Someone born in the 80s, I'll take your word for it. All right, any further questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I'm marking 6 in favor, none against, and 0 not voting. All right, so the rest, I went ahead and made a consent agenda. However, feel free to let me know if you want to pull something. So I've got resolutions on consent. RS 2024-242 approves a sole source contract between the Metropolitan Government, Nashville, Davidson County, and UKG Chronos Systems to provide software as a service, software license renewal, support, maintenance, and hosting. RS 2024-243. Bradford approves amendment number 1 to a sole source contract between the Metropolitan Government and Splash Business Intelligence to reflect changes in the service provided, increase value of the contract, and add or delete certain other terms. RS 2024-255 approves a sole source contract between Metropolitan Government and Acclimage LLC to provide maintenance, support, upgrades, and enhancements to Metro's document management imaging systems. RS 2024-256 approves the application for a Connected Community Facilities Grant from the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Information Technology Services Department, to construct and improve digital access through the creation of buildings and rehabilitation of existing facilities. Those are the resolutions I have on consent. Is there any that needs to be removed? Anybody have questions about any of the consent? All right. Motion on the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second. All right, those in favor of the consent calendar?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, 6 in favor on those. All right, so that leaves us with
They're all leaving.
that leaves us with bills on second reading. BL 2024-180, amend sections 9.30.010 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws regarding outdoor construction hours. I did put those on consent, but since it's the only bill up, motion for approval.
So moved.
And second.
Second.
All right, would the sponsor would like to discuss, or is there any questions about this? Councilmember?
Would you please review the current construction hours and what you want to change them to?
Yes, so also would like to say that this bill, I ran this through a number of construction organizations and agencies both at the city and state level to make sure everyone was on board. Did not want to run into any sort of like state preemption or other issues, so got thumbs up from everybody on this bill. Currently, there is no construction noise rules at all in the downtown code area, so everywhere from Hope Gardens to the Gulch to Rutledge Hill there's not currently anything. So what this does is two things. It puts all the sub-districts of the downtown zoning code into the code, it names them, and then it turns on the switches to put the noise ordinance in the Gulch South, Gulch North, and Hope Gardens areas. So the three areas are gonna now have the construction noise ordinance protections, the rest won't currently. The goal is to kind of get this in, get this settled, we had buy-in for those areas, and then we'll kind of work on the rest. The only difference in the rest of the county and this particular area will be that this area will take effect from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., whereas the rest of the city is 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So it's a little bit wider, again, from a traffic perspective. Gives a little more room.
Nice.
So,
I like it.
Yeah.
Councilmember?
Yeah, I support the bill, but a question for legal. We discussed times for construction a couple of times during the last session, and never understood that it didn't apply to certain DTC.
So,
Yes,
so the way that it was written before is it listed all the zoning codes where it applied. That it did not include 4 zoning codes, the DTC, and then I think IWD, IG, and IR. So industrial zoning districts and the DTC. Those were the only zoning districts excluded, but there was a big long list of where it applied.
And if I may, well, one of the things we did also, just to clean it up, to make it a little easier to understand, is as opposed to listing 30 different districts where it did apply, we made it to, it applies everywhere except for IR, IWD was already exempted, and then we put DTC back in.
interesting.
Fun stuff.
Anything else? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right, one last thing before we adjourn, I just want to kind of remind everybody that as members of this committee and members of elected body, we should always strive to be professional and polite to not just members of the committee, but to guests of the committee and to the public. The last meeting started off kind of unprofessionally, and so I just want to remind everybody, we're all colleagues. Let's be professional and polite to one another. We're not always going to agree 100% of the time, but like any family, we all will have our disagreements, but we need to learn to get along with each other. So, with that, we stand adjourned.